It's kind of hard to know where to start with a video like this, so I'm just going to kind of like throw myself somewhere in the middle with a question. So the question is, why would this producer, let's call him Mental, this is totally not based on a real scenario, give Jangy here a discount percent on the money that he gets from a distributed song? Well, there's a couple important factors you need to take into account. At the backbone of every artist, there's a producer. Without a producer, artists can't really sing on top of anything. And unfortunately, their talent with acapellas is not going to get them far. But unfortunately for producers, there is a limit to the success they can have. You can only get so popular as a producer without being directly attributed to a famous artist. This producer here, for example, is kind of in an open zone where he's not on the backbone of any artist, he's just making music. But it's important to note that he still makes good money from distributions. In the thought process of this producer, he's thinking, what's a good percent of money I should take from a song that I worked on? Now, unfortunately for producers, they're not exactly as well highlighted as artists. So typically, they're not going to be taking anything over 50%. But if you look at the extremely popular artists, producers don't even make a fraction of that. The reason for this is revolvent around the fame of the artists they are trying to make money off of. On this axis, let's put the percent take that a producer should get from a distributed song. On this axis, let's put the fame of the artist they're trying to get money from. This axis is going to start at 0, 0. If they're a nobody, you're typically not going to be taking any percent. This is because they realize that the artist isn't going to really go anywhere. Of course, the beginning of this graph really doesn't matter. It could really start at anywhere, but the graph will always progress the same. The more relative fame that an artist has is going to directly correlate with the amount of percent a producer is going to want to take. They want the most money possible, so it'll start by going up. Unfortunately, however, artists begin to realize their value. They bring basically all of the promotion to a song's success, and even if a producer is just crazy, artists are going to take a step back and realize, well, I want money from this too. This cap, I'd say, is around 50%. Expanding this model, artists begin to realize that they have more and more power basically over the producers. Because they are the figurehead of the operation, they are going to slowly take a cut from the producers. As they grow bigger, slowly but surely, they're going to allow the producers to take less and less. Now, the reason I stop here and don't go any further is because this is kind of when you start getting out of underground territory. This stopping threshold, I'll give a casual, 25%. That's typically the maximum artists can really push back on a producer. But of course, this is completely dependent on workload. So if a producer does less work than the artist, relatively, the artist is obviously going to give fluctuating results around these. Think of a SEM of like 5%. Stepping out of the underground, this model expands. You can basically predict where this is going to go. Mainstream artists are going to realize they hold all the value, and it's just going to plummet. But then this goes back to the question, why would this producer take less of a cut away from our artist Jangy here? Well, it's important to note that this model is a component of financial capital. Dumbing that down, it means that this all happens because of a financial institution. In the exact scenario for this, the amount of money Jangy owes is around 25%. So you'd assume he's about this relative fame. However, I think it's safe to move him up to around here. Although this is kind of like an exponential axis, right? Like let's assume this is like 0 fans. And then like once you get past underground, these are like in the millions. So, you're not really going to be getting accurate results. It's definitely not like proportional. But in the relationship between Mental and Jangy, he'd be owing a much larger percent. So why is he not paying that? Why is there this gap here that's causing a problem in my my little equation? Well, as I said, this is a financial institution. Real basic economy, demand and supply. But obviously, there are factors that attribute to this system that are beyond money. They're about networking and social value. That splits this dynamic into social and financial capital. Expanding onto this scenario, Mental and Jangy know each other pretty well. They both respect that they both want money, but Mental is willing to not only invest in Jangy, but he's willing to give him a discount because they are friends. However, the common critique to this is that producers put in a lot of work. They should appreciate their own value, and a relationship accounting for this much of a differential is a little strange, especially because they both respect that they're doing this for money. Now, the reason for this is because Mental is a lot smarter than Jangy. Mental realizes that Jangy has yet to reach the top of this little curve here. Whether he actually thinks of it as in terms of a curve that's not important. But he knows if he accelerates Jangy's growth, who has an identity as an artist, as I was speaking about earlier, when Jangy gets bigger and still uses Mental for a producer platform, Mental will make more money. Since the majority of underground artists are around like this stage for, if they're like famous, fame relative, but but if this is his current long-term rate, in the long term, he's going to be making this. The more money Jengi gets now, the more fame he gets as a social institution, which he can then turn into further financial capital later on. As you can see, the producer growth model is stunted, however, which means unfortunately this video is not for producers. For anyone who would like to refute that, I issue you a challenge. Who produces for Taylor Swift? If you say a record company, that means you don't know the producer. The record companies rely on a producer, pay them really horribly, to then give to the artist. And when following this chain for really big artists, if the entire record is making that, what do you think this guy's getting paid? So, moving on to artists. Let's start from square one. Here's your artist. Let's say he knows absolutely nothing. All he has is his talent. Whether this is talent with FL, whether this is talent with Ableton, it does not matter. This video is not going to give you this. See those two things over there? I'm going to give you that. Little Jengi is going to take his talent and he is going to make that with a song. But if he's at square one, what does he have? He only has his talent. Let's look at his inventory over here. He has absolutely no social capital and no financial capital. If I need to reiterate what that is, social capital is like people. Financial capital is like money. So he makes a song, that's all him. But time passes. Jengi starts realizing he can't do this as a lone operation. So he decides to make an investment of himself. So, scrap this song. Jengi has this thing called friends. Where you get them? Doesn't matter. You want the easy route to that? Go on Discord, hit somebody up in a public Discord server. He also has something called a job. Or, millions of dollars of inheritance. So now he has his connections, which are as a phone. Don't ask why it's on his feet. I don't know. He's got his money. He's got his talent. Well, how should he start going about things? Let's look at his inventory sheet. This is day one. He's got mental. Mental goes under his social capital. Mental, the producer, has his own system of working things, but acts as a producer that doesn't need any financial capital to invest in, because he's investing in the long-term profit that the songs will make on distribution. If you came here for distribution, get DistroKid. I'll put that right up here. It unfortunately costs money, so either have inheritance or a job. Or, release on free on SoundCloud, but then you're not making any money from this. So just X out that column you see all the way over there. But that actually segues perfectly into the other type of social capital, fans. The more you make music, the more fans you get, which means the more influence you have. Influence is like a perfect example of social capital. When people see you as successful, they see your finances and your influence. For the sake of this, let's start with SoundCloud. He's posting on SoundCloud. He doesn't have enough money yet to get DistroKid, but he's on Discord servers talking to people. Maybe he knows people in real life that make music. So he starts getting a lot of these guys. And when he posts to SoundCloud, sometimes he'll get some of these guys. But he's not making any money yet because he's not at distrokid.com. I'm going to go into promotion after this part, but he posts music. Let's just keep this real simple. Music equals more of that. But just because he's posting music and getting more of that doesn't mean he's getting all the social capital that he needs to be successful. So Jengi goes back to the drawing board with his little iPhone and starts promoting. The more he successfully promotes, the more of these guys he gets. But the more he networks, the more of these guys he gets. These things then in turn go back into making more music. And when you make more music, you get more of these. And of course, you can speed this up here with promotion. And you speed up this portion by networking, if you've hit your talent threshold here. So let's say, Jengi's using all of his talent. Of course, you can get better over time, but I don't need to tell you that. But then Jengi starts to get a little wiser. He realizes that this circle's not making him any financial capital. Without any financial capital, he loses the motivation to, make more music, and then this starts slowing down. So he decides to make another investment. You see that right there? Yeah, yep, right there. So then, this then takes his music into the financial realm. Now, DistroKid allows you to upload to a bunch of different social media platforms. So, for making money. And typically Spotify is more used than something like SoundCloud, and the SoundCloud algorithm is horrible. So, more fans. Oh, that doesn't go here though. But it does add another arrow on one of these. Of course, the fastest way of promotion is still networking, but it does add another arrow. This is algorithm. So now he's making money. And this is a pretty good arrangement here, because for now, it looks like he just has an infinite money generator. But things are going to stall, and things are going to get consistent, and he's going to start realizing that the money he's making isn't really doing anything, right? A lot more of this, but it's just money. He's not getting bigger, so he's not making more money, etc., etc. So now, he's going to do the very wise thing here and put money back into his music. Now, how the hell do you do that? Well, it goes back to promotion. Money can equal promotion. Again, I'll go into that in a second. But money also allows him to upgrade his talent in a sort. Songs that used to be blocked by barriers that you need to pay for, he has access to, so he can now buy beats. He can also afford more time. Another resource here. Guess I should have probably made a third category. He can put more time into making music when he has more money, because money pays the bills. Hopefully that last part was going through that mic. But once this arrangement keeps going, he's going to realize he's hit another blocker. He can't really go any further, even if he keeps putting money back into the thing. He's hit the capacity of his talent, and what can he do? Well, unfortunately for him, he wasn't looking at the system very clearly, because money solves all problems, but he just doesn't have enough. Putting too much money back into it means he can't pay the bills. And if he can't pay the bills, he doesn't have the time to make more music, to make more money, so he needs to make another investment. Luckily for him, Social Hero's got him covered. He needs to get himself a label, but not a knockoff label. He needs a label like UMG, but unfortunately, UMG is a little out of his scope. But the further his outreach gets, sooner or later, he's going to get an email from someone who's willing to invest money into him and help him manage his talent so he can make more music and make them more money. So you see this thing? Yeah, multiply that by 3. Now he's got a bunch more money, which means he's got a lot more time. More time equals more music. Plus, the label is going to help him toughen up his talent. If he has a lack of talent, don't worry. Just give him some auto-tune and he's all good. And now, he supercharges talent, and that's going right through his music. So he's at the max capacity of his talent again. So the talent system is now done. But because he's making more music, he is now making more money. But eventually, he's going to start hitting his final capacity as an underground artist. He can't just keep pumping out songs, because if he starts pumping out songs, the intrigue of him is not really there anymore. Once he posts too many songs, he's shown all he can, people become disinterested, label becomes disinterested, and he is scrapped, his music career is done, the end. So what does he do? Well, now that he has a bunch of money, he's starting to kind of lose the plot here. He's got every producer under his wing, so bye-bye, you're no longer valuable. The label just wants money, but they're getting that, so bye-bye, label. Well, that's weird. Now there seems to be one social capital that's still there. Now, all little Jengy here seems to want are more fans. Now, how is he going to get more fans? To breach his final barrier as an underground artist, he's going to need promotion, and a lot of promotion. So let's say he really wants to have a concert. That's like his big display that I've finally made it. Luckily, he's got the money. He might not have the fans yet, but he wants that. Then I guess we better start speeding up this. Now, back in the good old days, promotion used to be very difficult. People would just shell out records, and music became really corrupted because no one had any idea what they were doing. Now that social media is around, everyone has an idea of what they're doing, but, music companies, they don't want you having any idea of that. They liked when it was complex because they made more money, but you can combat that. So what kind of promotion works today? Well, luckily today we have something called the almighty algorithm, which likes to do everything for you. But that might not promote you as fast as you want. You want to be famous tomorrow. You clicked on this video because you don't want to wait. You are sick of waiting for the algorithm to promote your talent and just pray everybody is just magically interested in your talent. So what can you do? What can you do? Now, the stupid SoundCloud rapper way of doing it is trying to use that thing, that very important thing I tried teaching you guys last time called money. You know that? They try to use money to solve all their problems. Money goes to Discord. Oh, guys, look at this channel where I'm promoting my music. Don't you guys want to click it more? No, no one wants to click that. You're not getting any fans from that. Next, people are going to pay for IG posts. I want you to post me on your IG story. I want you to post me on your page. Look at me, guys. I'm giving you money to promote me. I guess it works, but it's kind of boring. Luckily, the algorithm has created this new method. Lucky for you, the algorithm has created brain rot. People don't have time to check Discord channels. People don't have time to check IG posts. They just want to see your content fast. If they like it, they'll interact with it. If they don't, they move on. Well, where can you get short form content to a lot of people very fast? That's right, TikTok and Instagram Reels. For the sake of it, these two things are kind of the same though. They both give you a video, you like it, you interact with it, you don't, you move on. And that gets to a lot of people really fast. You want to know why? Because a lot of people use those platforms. Well, what's the first step, right? Well, you need to track engagement. How can you get people to want to stay on your post? So not only does it boost in the algorithm, but people actually become a fan. The other kind of capital I was telling you about. I can even draw an arrow between fan and money. Funny how that works. Well, one way people like to do it is they like to put money into an engagement. When you put money into engagement, you get to promote your stuff via the Instagram or TikTok. I don't even know what you call them. Like they're promotions. They just get your video on more people's pages. Yeah, I'll be real. It doesn't work that well. Like it works, I guess, but the real way to do it is you need to trick the brain into thinking they like the content. Format number one, hit them with something that they like, and because your thing's in the background of what they like, they immediately go, oh, okay. Some very popular ways of doing this are edits. People like edits, they look cool. So they hear something in the background, they associate that with cool. But that takes talent as well, unfortunately. Okay, we'll cross that one off the list. 2, steal. You can steal people's edits, and then just put your music behind that, and then boom. Steal's also kind of vague. You can steal gameplay from something, and if your music's in the background, people like the game, they push that together, boom, promotion. Oh, but that's a brand risk. Stealing doesn't put a good image. So people are often like, nope, let's cross that one off. All right, long term, if you want fans, and people see you doing this shady stuff early on, they don't really respect you, you can't really hold a fan base. Well, if I can't steal and I can't edit, what can I do? Well, luckily, you can just steal other people's ideas. What? I thought you already cross-stealing off. Well, luckily for you, Hollywood has been using something very successful for very long. You ever heard of sex cells? Well, this is like that, but like turbocharged. Not only are you going to pry on that idea in their brains, it's going to be in short-form content. They're going to see something they like, and they're going to associate with it. Thus, Gooner. This also deeply roots into people's subconscious. Very abusive. Depends on how you do it. Sometimes it's not a brand risk. A lot of celebrities do this early on in their careers. But how can you do this in a digital era? Sometimes it's hard to compete with the Instagram models that Photoshop themselves into oblivion. Photoshop takes skill. BBLs cost money. Well, that goes right back to stealing. Stealing is the root of that. I'm not going to call out some artists, but I know artists have gotten to 50K, 80K just by using this simple strategy. Steal people's Gooner content and put it onto this. And sometimes Gooner doesn't even apply to like real women. There is an extremely valuable market out there for people who are into really fictional, attractive women that they can goon to. I'm really not trying to call out somebody, but I was a fan of a guy's music. Then he started posting a lot of this. Yeah, kind of put me off. Still think his music's really good out there, but one combo I will say I've never seen out there is a successful underground female artist who posts themselves with their music and does it successfully. That would be really interesting. I bet there's probably one out there. I don't know. Okay, well, what are other ways of engagement? Sometimes this list is not really looking too good. So let's just get rid of that. So, what other options are there? Absolutely nothing. Unfortunately for you, easing them into it is the only thing you can do with this strategy. So, if you don't want to be a brand risk and you have to use this strategy, what do? Well, luckily, I omitted a fourth category. If edits take too much skill, what's an alternative? Simple editing. In the era of short-form content, short-form editing has appeared, like CapCut. Now, CapCut basically does all the work for you. Or sometimes you don't need a complex shot. If you have good photography skills, good videography skills, you can record a cool video of you dancing in a subway. Clip here maybe, I don't know. And it'll do very successfully. Well, then I guess we have the strategy, right? Minimum amount of talent for the maximum amount of value. And so that all goes back to the start. Our artist, little Jengy here, has found his strategy. This strategy gets him fans. Fans get him money. Money gets him fans. Money gets him better options for promotion. Better options for promotion get him fans. And now you've just cracked the code. You've created a perfect system. The system not only directly correlates to itself, but accelerates itself. So you cracked the code, right? But eventually, this strategy will end. You will reach your maximum threshold, all dependent on how much talent you have. So in the end, everything matters about talent. But you can stretch your talent as thin as you want, because it'll still get you a lot of money. And there's a lot of artists that have none of this, but a lot of that. And the last thing I'll leave with, sometimes when you've hit this capacity, and you've probably left the underground stage at this point, because if you've really stretched your talent that thin, then, so I guess this video wasn't really about mainstream, but I'll dive my feet into it a little bit. If you're super mainstream, and you've reached the capacity of your talent, what do? Social ingenuity. Way too complex of a topic to fully go into, but in short, become a brand. At this point, people will listen to you even if you have no talent. And trust me, there are a lot of mainstream artists who have none of that. But because of their social ingenuity, they are still very successful today. Since this is like the first time I've ever done a whiteboard video, I have by far hit the capacity for how long I was supposed to be here. My phone is about to die because that's what I'm using as a mic input. My computer's about to die because that's what I'm using as a camera charger, because I came here without a camera battery. And I'm out of physical energy because it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. Till next time.